Hi, welcome to tutorial number 15 for CSCI 130 Introduction to Programming here at the University of Wisconsin Parkside. Today we are completing chapter 7. In previous tutorials we discussed the first part about chapter 7, in which they're introducing the concept of structured programming, algorithms, pseudocode, and if statements. So here we are um, still talking about if statements. Like the one that you see in figure 7.9, we have multiple possible answers for the for the value of a given variable. In our previous examples from chapter 7, we were discussing the if statement that we just have an if in case that the value of a variable was, I don't know, greater than 60. We display on a label that the student passed the course or the test, and then that's it, was one possibility. And when we got an else, we got two possible answers. So now here we are assigning a letter grade, and we're using figure 7.9 for our next posting too, by the way. So for example, here the student gets a grade greater than 90, then we display that your numerical grade is A. If it's between 80 and 90, then the grade is B. And then between 60 and 70, I mean, now it will be between 70 and 80, then the grade will be C, and so on. And then 60 uh, greater or equal to 60, and below 70, that will be the D, and otherwise will be an F. So look at how we got multiple if statements. We call what we see in figure 7.9 nested ifs. We got ifs inside another if. And if you remember from the beginning of chapter 7, we were talking about a structure in programming, that indentation. Did you see all that indentation? Like for example, on number 1, number 3, and line 17, they are on the same column. That means that's the original if statement. So if grade is the student grade is greater than 90, then we do what is on 12. Otherwise we're going to do whatever is from 4 to 16. But inside 4 and 16 we're defining additional if statements. So here the concept of structured programming helps to visualize this. Now because this is basically checking on possible values, we have an alternative for doing this, which I think is on the next figure here. So there is a shortcut when we got those multiple if else statements. So we got the if and then else if together, and look at how this and this means the same. There is nothing wrong with what we have in 7.9, but when we have a problem, I mean when we have an exercise that looks like this, that is similar, and I mean it's a lot of nested if, we can simplify that like this, and it's kind of easier to see it with the format of else if, so we don't need to be closing those uh, uh, defining another if statement like in here. For example, from 4 to 16, that is the definition of another if statement. So here we're just defining one single if statement that begins on number 1 and ends on number 11. So here we're defining, let's see, 1 2 3 if statements. No, 4. 1 2 3. You see I'm counting the number of ifs and ifs. 1 2 3 4. So there are 4 if statements, while here we only have one if statement. So here is like cases. So in case the grade is greater than 90, then we have this. The case that is greater than 80 but less than 90, then this is the case that we get a B. The case that we get a C is the grade than 70 but less than 80, then we get a C. So that's what we're going to be implementing. Now, just to complete the topics from chapter 7, they have a section about assignment operators. If we look at here where it says number equals number plus 3, we used statements like this before, I think last week. So on number equal number plus 1, what we're doing is we're overriding what it was on number, the old value of number plus 3. What they say is this is a common practice, and then they have a shortcut. There is nothing wrong with that statement, but they say that can be simplified as saying number plus equals 3. And they explain on this section that this are happen with all the other operators, the plus, the minus, the times. And then they give us a nice graph on 7.19 that gives us the sample expression. For example, c plus equals 7 is the same as c equals c plus 7. In this figure on 7.19, they said assume that we got c equals to 4. If that's the case, c plus equals 7 will give us 11. um, and the last section on this chapter, they talk about formatting text, and we use the string dot format in the example that we did in the previous tutorial when we were doing some formatting for the string to look like money. So they give some explanations here, and they make a reference to the code that we were writing, like in here on line 30 we got on that label string dot format, and we did last time. They also have a nice table, I think, on figure 7.22 when they explain some of the specifiers for strings, and the one that we were using in this case was C, and that's the one that probably we're going to use for our most of the applications that we're going to develop for this class. I mean, I don't think we're going to need the others, but it's good information what they have in that figure. And what I'm gonna do on the next tutorial, we're gonna implement a program to display this gray, and this will be our sample posting for the next discussion session.